it's Presley at ActiveGames.com here, and today we're going to be doing another mental health journey video.
We are.
We had our first family therapy session recently.
Yeah, so Presley usually goes in by herself.
Yes.
Right? And this week we did the first with everybody in there.
Yeah.
Me and Mommy and you and Cooper.
Right. Cooper didn't really participate, but
at the end he did a little bit more. But yeah, that's fine. It was more for us.
Right.
Right. And so I think we actually learned a lot, right? Like I think there was some really good advice that came out of that, right? And I think some of it was about like the words that we use.
Yeah.
Some of it was about like reinforcing bad habits, which was an interesting component of that. And then some of it was dietary, which I thought was kind of interesting.
But it wasn't telling me to stop eating stuff. It told me to eat more things.
It did. And they all actually kind of tie together a little bit, right? Let's see if we can tie some of them together. Well, let's start with the food piece, right? Because that's kind of an easy thing to explain.
Okay, so
why don't you start with?
The gist of it is I am a very, very picky eater, and I have mental problems eating something that I don't want to eat in that moment, and my tastes for food shift very rapidly. Like to the point where I'll be halfway through eating something and not want to eat it anymore.
Right.
And so apparently a lot of those decisions of like I can't eat this right now are caused by me being hungry. And when I'm hungry, I get pickier, which seems like it should be the opposite, but it's really not.
Yeah, so I think that being hungry exacerbates a lot of the stuff that we're going through, right?
Yes.
It's not necessarily causing it, it just makes it worse.
Right.
Right?
I'm just hungry.
And so when you're super hungry, you want things that are really bad for you. You crave food that's not good, like a super high carbohydrate or super high sugar kind of things, right? And she was saying if you eat a snack of a thing that you like, but just a snack, like portion, and not like take an entire bag of chips upstairs and eat it all, or a box of
That's what
cereal.
I want to do.
Right, but you take like a snack serving and eat that so that you get rid of that like extreme hunger, and then you can make better decisions about having a meal.
Nice.
That's a good thing.
I like snacks.
Right.
I haven't had a situation where I needed the snack, where I needed the crave wave yet, but so I've just been eating cheese puffs, and it's great.
But it's an interesting concept because it tied back into a broader conversation that we were having about like not letting yourself refuse to do things you're uncomfortable with, right?
Yeah.
And that the more you refuse to confront things that you're uncomfortable with, the more you get trapped in this pattern of not doing things that you're uncomfortable with, and you move towards like being an agoraphobic, right? Like the equivalent of, right?
Yeah.
You stop doing it. Like this person that I know that won't fly, right?
Right.
Won't fly in airplanes. And that probably started pretty small with like I'm uncomfortable on planes. I get nervous sometimes. I get nervous on airplanes. And she probably started with sometimes she got nervous on airplanes. But then she wouldn't fly. She wouldn't push herself and do that. And over longer and longer periods of time, it gets harder and harder to do those things, and now she can't fly. Like she feels like it's impossible to fly, right? And so she was really challenging you a lot on doing things that you're uncomfortable doing, right? With like the workout thing that we talked about, and with like even eating something that you feel like you can't eat right now, like doing it, doing schoolwork, like scheduling activities and doing certain things that you feel like you can't do, right? And so getting it ahead of it now and doing it, even if you're uncomfortable with it, so that it doesn't become a bigger problem later, right? Which was really good advice. I think it was really interesting to hear her talk about that. And then she said, especially for this week, when you're first doing that, to take these experiences when you feel like you can't do something or you're going to be super uncomfortable doing something, do it and then journal about it so that you can take it back and share your thoughts with her, and you guys can move forward with that. So what do you think about that? We'll talk about the language thing in a second, but what do you think about that overall? What are your thoughts about that piece of what we learned?
I think it's like really important. It's going to help a lot. I have a lot of problems doing things that I'm uncomfortable with doing.
This is true.
I'm not uncomfortable doing things most people would see as me being uncomfortable doing. Airplanes are like a second.
Public speaking.
Public speaking.
You're comfortable public
whatever.
speaking. Right? Yeah.
Public speaking, whatever. Acting, auditions, whatever. Flying on airplanes is a really common fear. I don't care. I am kind of afraid of elevator doors though. But like I get really uncomfortable during very weird everyday things. Yeah. And so I need to push myself to be able to do those more. Like right now, one of my tasks is to work out in front of somebody. As in, like, if I'm going down to the gym.
Not like somebody stands in the corner and watches her exercise. but like someone else is in the gym while she's working out. Right.
I make mom go down there and make sure no one is in the gym before I go, and then if someone comes and this hasn't happened yet, I would leave.
Sounds really weird to say. I have a task to work out in front of someone. It's not at all.
Well, with someone who might be able to look at
Yet other people in the fitness center at the time you go down there to work out.
Right.
And so that's a thing that makes Presley really uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
And so let's do the language thing while we're in this, right? And so Presley, up until whenever we went to the session, or not today, Presley would say, I can't go downstairs and walk on the treadmill while there's somebody else in there, right? Or like, Presley needs you to come downstairs and work on this project, right? Or work on the script for gay day or whatever, right? I can't do it, right? And so Presley's therapist really kind of jumped on that language.
Which is a very therapist thing to do.
It is, but that's what she's supposed to do, right? And I thought it was really good, and it was interesting, and I hadn't thought of it that way, right? And I think you probably hadn't either.
Right.
To say, I can't. Like, I cannot, like, physically cannot go downstairs and walk on the treadmill if somebody else is in there, or I cannot come downstairs and work on the script for a video.
Right.
That's not accurate, right?
Right. It's a weird middle ground between not wanting to and not being able to.
Yeah, so that was my bad language. Again, not at all what it sounds like. It's dropping F-bombs in a family therapy session. I might have.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I didn't. But my inappropriate language in the conversation wasn't any better at all. Was I was saying, oh, you don't want to come work on the script, or you don't want to do this. And so I'm like, it's loaded language again, right? It's me saying Presley doesn't, or my perception that Presley doesn't want to do it, because if she wanted to do it, she would do it, right? And it's Presley's perception of saying, I want to do that thing, but it makes me really nervous, and I have this mental block that's keeping me from going and doing it, and so I can't do it. And both of those are the extremes of bad ways to describe that situation, right? And we've both been doing it, and we've both, it causes this perception. It causes me to really believe, because I use that language, and I think it is in part, like, you could argue I use that language because I believe that to be true, but I also think it's true that I use that language enough that I'm reinforcing this idea for me to think Presley doesn't want to do these things. And I think it reinforces your idea that you can't. Because you say you can't enough, it reinforces that idea, and you feel like you can't do it.
Right. There's not like a word for it that is good.
Yeah, we need a good middle. If you have a good suggestion for a middle ground word, then I think like it's difficult, or even I feel like I can't do it is a very different thing than saying I can't do it. It's
challenging.
Yeah, something like that we need to get to. And so we're going to play around with language and find the right way to describe that. Presley is going to, if I say, damned. Presley is going to, like, I say, hey, come down and work on the script, and she'll say, I can't do that, and I'll be, okay, you're using the language again, like, I know you feel like you can't, but it's really important that you push yourself to do things you're uncomfortable with, so let's come work on it for 15 minutes. We'll work on the script for 15 minutes, and then when we're done, you go journal, and then you go back upstairs. And,
In case you're wondering, the 15 minutes thing, that's about as long as my attention span is for things that I don't have a lot of motivation to do.
Yeah, so we're doing,
it's bad.
Yeah, we're doing an hour a day of things that Presley you're kind of uncomfortable with in 4 15-minute blocks.
I've noticed, and this wasn't really mentioned in the therapy session, but listening to music, especially like really upbeat music, so I've been listening to the Mean Girl soundtrack, and that's been helping me focus more, because it's giving me more motivation to do.
There's also like the somatic response. Have you looked at that much? Like the
not really. I know
the fake. It's kind of the fake it till you make it kind of. Like if you smile, it makes you feel happier.
Right.
And so if you use body language that indicates the emotion you want to be feeling, it helps you feel that emotion. So it is a little bit acting. Yeah. So like I think that's we'll do a whole there's acting stuff coming. Like just wait. We're going to talk about some of the stuff Presley's about to be doing from an acting standpoint. It's going to be really cool, and I think might be helpful. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But I think like overall it was a really great lesson for me. Like I felt like I learned a lot. I felt like I learned some of the language that I'm using. Like you don't want to do it. So hearing Presley talk about some of these things to the therapist was eye-opening to me, because like we don't talk in the same way about those things. Like we get trapped in our language that we use. And so having a third party that knew how to navigate that a little bit and open some doors, I think was actually really super helpful. So, I recommend it. Like if you have things that you can't sort of break through, like sitting down and having a third party there that really understands how to navigate these waters was extremely helpful. And I think it's going to be. So I think we're going to follow a pattern now where maybe Presley will go to 3 or 4 sessions on her own, and then we'll do another family session, and then Presley will work on some things on her own. And you know, she has a lot of privacy in the session, which I think is super important. Like we don't ask, we don't need to know like anything that. Like even in the family conversation, her therapist could say, Presley, is it okay if I share with them like this conversation we had? And Presley would be like, no, I don't want to talk about that. We won't talk about that. Or yes, that's fine, and we can have a conversation. And so there's a trust relationship that's developing between Presley and her therapist, which is really fantastic. But as a family, I think it helped us approach some things.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And Presley has, like this is the other thing that happens, and if you're a parent, you know this as well as anyone, but a third party asking Presley to do the same thing that I've asked her to do somehow works very differently than me asking her to do it.
Little expectations.
Right? And so if her therapist says, hey, maybe you should do this thing that your dad's been asking you to do for 2 years, Presley's like, oh, that's a really good idea. I should totally do that. Wow, that's great. And then we do it like 3 days, we're doing it, and it's working, and it's awesome.
It's a different, societal
yeah, of course it is. Yeah, there's relationships that we have to do with.
Right.
But I thought it was super helpful, so I'm really glad we did it.
Ow, I just scratched myself really hard.
Don't do that.
I didn't intend to.
All right, closing thoughts? So you're going to try and do things that make you uncomfortable so that you don't end up really being unable to do them.
Watch out.
Like it's just going to be a self-feeding thing. And now when I think about people I know who have those kinds of things, like that's how it happened. It was very small. And then they refused to sort of challenge themselves, and it just became this much bigger thing. And so we do need to stay on top of that.
Yeah.
And food is one of those things.
I like food.
Good times.
Just generally.
Yeah.
I like food. Good closing thought. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to press that subscribe button to see more videos like this, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Nope.
Not tomorrow.
Oh, wait. Psych.
Maybe, but probably not.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.